Hey guys, I just wanted to do another tire cutting video. I know it's been a while and I said I was going to do a lot more of them, but it's busy. So we're working on 18L 24 D&D patty tire. Kind of wanted to run through the steps of how I clean them up and get into tighter areas and stuff like that, maybe to help you guys out on cutting them. I've already cut almost half of this tire, so this year we've been doing something a little new with the front of the lugs. We've just been taking the fronts off of these because they get real tight in here. So I've been taking about a 1/4 inch in, and obviously it gets thicker at the bottom, but I start about a 1/4 inch in at the top, and I get a nice straight down on it, and it just makes it easier to get in there. I run 1-inch wide blades, so for cutting the front of that off, the best thing I found, I used to use a multi-tool just from Harbor Freight with a sharp end on it, but that thing is noisy, it vibrates your hands, it's hard to hang on to, and it kind of sucks because you can't get all the way down. You got to make multiple things, and it just kind of sucks. So I went back to the old Sawzall trick, and it honestly works awesome as long as you have the right blade. What I did find was the coarser the blade, the easier it is. It chews through the rubber. Now you have to watch because it will make it look, jagged and stuff. So I've been switching back and forth between this coarse blade it's just a Harbor Freight one, coarsest I could find, to the Milwaukee coarsest one they have at like a Ace Hardware. And I like this Milwaukee one way better. And I set the tire up and it's simple. I can get in there. The long blade lets me get in through here. And I always leave it up a little bit. You can clean that up with your cutter afterwards. The only thing I did do from my last video was I did upgrade the head on this one to the same other head. And that's just my different depths, but that's my blade. That's what we're scooping with and cutting the base of the tire, and I just use this to trim up the edges. And you'll see where having it set deep like this, you can get in and clean it up real easy. So again, they're just the old style Van Alstyns. I know there's a lot of them floating around, but we're gonna start by squaring up the base and into where we're gonna be scooping, because you can see the angles there. We want to get it square so it looks nice and flat and up in here. And obviously you can see in the center is raised up too, and we got to clean up where we made our front of the lug cuts. So we're just gonna try and square this up the best we can. This doesn't have to be perfect because you're going right back over it to get your your initial scoop. So we're just getting rid of these edges, getting them square, and cleaning up the center. And again, I play with my heat settings. That pass was on 2. This was on 2 all the way up until I could sink both of the blades into the rubber, both sides of the blade. And I'll crank it right up to 4 every time I can do that, because it just gives me the most heat, so it makes it easier. So there you have it. We got a nice square spot to work with. We're nice cleaned up in there. So our next pass will go right over top of all of that. Cutting the base of the tire onto a 1/2 inch. And obviously I play with my heat settings on this gun too. If I get both sides sunk in, it's cranked up. So that's just kind of how I do it. I like to I skim it out. I don't try and go up in. It gives you the cleanest look, I think, in the end. I come in and clean this all up afterwards and you'll see, but that's just kind of how I get my bases done. And then I move right onto the scoop. And sometimes I mark this out to get them all equal, but I've done quite a few of them where I can almost eyeball all the way around, but having marks does help. And it is kind of hard to turn those corners. The lug's so tall that you end up running into the back of your thing. So it is kind of hard, but it just takes time and practice. Like I said, I got years into this stuff. So when I'm doing that, I'm turning this cutter up and I'm kind of just pushing it sideways. It allows you to get down in there deeper, but it does take a lot of practice. So that's as far as I go right there. I cut the base of the tire and I cut right down to almost the bottom right there with my 1/2 inch setting. Now I'll come back in with my deep setting and you can start up here, you can start down there, whatever. This one, I know some of them like to leave a little edge on this. I'm taking this one right out to the end. I think it's a lot more efficient for the tire cleaning out and the mud packing in there and even just washing your stuff. It's easy to get in there and clean up your stuff afterwards. So start down there at the bottom, and I just kind of eyeball sinking that cutter in there. And you can see I'm coming right out to where I was. And I'll run this about halfway up, and then I pop it out. Clean up this little guy. And then this is the tricky part because you're so far down in that you're running into that with your cutter. So you will be actually dragging your cutter sideways in here. And it takes some time to get used to. It still doesn't always turn out perfect, but it's the best, most easiest way I found to get in these tight areas. So I'm dragging it sideways a little bit there. It's tough. But once you come out of it, you're like that. And I always just go straight into cleaning this out. So you get one pass right there and boom. And it is the cleanest way I could find to get in there tight without making it look all jagged. Then we're gonna come in and we're gonna clean this stuff up. And get up close. Take a whole sliver off there. We'll take a sliver off of the front here. We got nice square edges, nice and clean. And we're gonna take a sliver off the back. Right there. So there you have it. That's cutting the lug right down. 18L D&D patty tire. And these should be pretty badass when we're done with them. And it's probably gonna shed about, I would say around 74 pounds a tire just doing this cut. And you get a lot more off when you're cleaning them up like this and they're nice and clean looking. You know, you're getting down in here. You can see where the cords are at down in the front. Now, I know some guys don't like to see cords, but I have not had any issues yet with having them like this. So, to add to the video, I want to do a before and after. A lot of guys ask for it, and I keep forgetting about it. So, here's the before. It's an 18L24 D&D patty, D&D aluminum wheel. And you can see how close, this kind of gives you a perspective of how close these are, you know, in the front. And how I'm taking that front off and squaring it up, and you can see how this sticks out further. I'm just getting a good chunk out of there, and there's a lot of weight savings to be made. I think it's gonna grab a lot harder with that out, and it allows you to get in there and it'll let the tire flex a little bit more. So I think it's a good thing. But there's the before, And I do have one cut over here, but it's got a different sidewall pattern, but this is the exact same cut. And you can see the difference. You can see it, how nice and smooth, easy to clean out, and just looks awesome. So yeah, this one was I think 74 pounds I took off of it, and I mean that times by 4 is a lot of rotating mass, so it's a good number. So that's it, guys.